Hello and welcome to PRAYERZONE Live. It's so good to have you with us. I do hope you've had a good day so far. It looks like we've got a great mixture of people with us again from a very diverse number of places tonight. So we've got like Godalming, Carlisle, Long Preston, Colorado Springs, La Linea in Andalusia, Ilkley, Belfast, Texas, Bradford. I love saying Texas and Bradford next to each other. Sounds really good. Southport, Auckland in New Zealand, Keighley, Kigali in Rwanda, and Bedford. That's not bad, is it? That's pretty good. So wherever you are, we appreciate that you've chosen to gather with us tonight and to pray. I really hope our time together will be encouraging and informative. The title for this November PRAYERZONE Live is Sheep, Stations and SuperBibles. And we'll say hello to my special guest in just a minute. We're together this evening till about 7:45 if you're connecting with us on Zoom. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, a bit quicker. We should be done in around quarter of an hour for you. But we're going to start with a prayer together. So let's pray. Father, you are Lord of our lives. We worship you and thank you for revealing yourself to us today, maybe in special ways, maybe just through ordinary things that we do, but you never leave us or forsake us, and we're so grateful for that truth. It gives us courage and hope to carry on, and we thank you for what we'll hear tonight, and know without a doubt that you will hear our prayers and answer our prayers so that your kingdom will come. So thank you, Lord, for that. Amen. So my special guest tonight is the director of the New Zealand office of Reach Beyond, Russell Grainger. Good evening, Russell, or should I say good morning?
Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Russell Grainger aho, and greetings. Thank you for letting me be here today. It's a real privilege. And yeah, it's just gone 8 o'clock in the morning here. A rather windy and wet day here too.
Okay, well, it's the same here. Don't worry. Tell us a bit about yourself and your family.
Alrighty. So, well, I've been married for 37 years, married to Gillian, and you can see her there beside me. And I have 4 children. My oldest boy is 30 years old, and he's married. He's works in insurance at the moment, but he's a competitive sportsman, and he rode at the 2016 Olympics in Rio. He's not in the picture. Then my next boy down is Ben, and he's 28. He works in the film industry, and he's not in that picture either. And then the next one down is Angus, and he's 25, and he's standing right next to me there. And his wife, Brianna, is next to him. Excuse me. So Angus works part-time at a local church, and he's also has his own recording studio. And then finally, my daughter Abby, who's 23, she's and on the other side of the picture there, and she used to work for Reach Beyond here in New Zealand, and now she's working for Christians Against Poverty. So yeah, that's our family.
Now, you've recently returned from a trip to Ghana a couple of months ago now with your team. What were you actually doing there?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we were doing there was building relationships. So we have Reach Beyond has a partner in Ghana called Theo Vision, and quite a lot of the country offices around the world have relationships with them, but we didn't. And so part of that first trip was to get to know them and like I say, build some good relationships. But the main thing that we were there for was to install a sheep station into this multi-purpose pole. So in that picture, you'll see the first multi-purpose pole that was erected in Ghana. And so we went there to have a look at it, to install this sheep station and to make it fully functional. We were there to check out manufacturing processes that are available, the technology that was available, the cellular systems in the country, and connectivity, and what issues we might have because of our future plans. And we also ended up doing some work on the Reach Beyond vehicle that was there. Needed some maintenance, so we did that too.
Nice shirts, by the way. What exactly is a sheep station? Where did it get its name?
All right. Well, Reach Beyond New Zealand, like the UK office, we have a sort of a development arm or a different arm. You had Whistling Frog, and we have a thing called Wandering Sheep. And Wandering Sheep was based on the parable of the shepherd that has 99 sheep, but then goes and looks for the lost one. And so that's where Wandering Sheep came in. We also, in New Zealand, have a heck of a lot of sheep, and they run on mainly on on very big farms, which are called stations in the high country. And in those at those stations, at the hub of them is where there are a whole lot of resources, food and medical and technology like tractors and all that sort of stuff. So that's where the name Sheep Station came from. And this is a current model of the Sheep Station, very small little box. And it's, for those of you that are technically minded, it's based on the Raspberry Pi. But these devices hold thousands and thousands of pages of material, Bibles, obviously, in multiple languages. It has discipleship material, material on animal husbandry, community development, Bible studies, daily devotionals. Basically anything you want can be put on here, and that can be downloaded by anybody. So it's a little portable Wi-Fi hub, basically, and they're used now all over the world. One of the latest places we've been putting them, Reach Beyond has been putting them, is in refugee centres on the border of Ukraine and Romania. So basically it's just a resource, a repository of anything that you want. So that's a sheep station.
Okay, now it's good to see Alfred there working with you in Ghana on this project. We had Alfred on Prayer Zone Live with us in July. It was great to meet him. What kind of reaction do you get from the people in these villages where you plant the light poles?
Yeah, well, I've got to say, and you guys obviously have met Alfred, he's just the most amazing man, a wonderful heart for God, and just a real pleasant person to be around, and he looked after us very well. So the multi-purpose poles, what they do is, as you would have seen, they have a solar panel at the top, then there's some LED lights, like street lights, underneath that some loudspeakers, and then further down the pole there's a platform with that's got some power points at it, and so people in the village can go and charge their phones there. And the reaction that we're getting from the villagers is just incredible. So in that picture there, I'm in the village of Akrakasi, where the first pole went up, and that there standing next to me is the village chief and his wife, and that man is actually a Muslim. So we went into the village, and I sat and talked with him, as you have to do, building relationships when we first got there. And I said to him, well, tell me about the pole and what it means to you. And he said, oh, look, it's just fantastic. We had a big problem. They had a big problem in the village where cocoa is their main crop, and they just put the cocoa beans out on big tables to racks for them to dry. And what was happening is during the night, people from other surrounding villages would come and steal the cocoa beans. But ever since the multi-purpose pole has been in with the lights that are on all night, they haven't had any cocoa beans stolen. And so he loved that. And what happens is, now that the sheep station is actually in the pole and it's working as it should, what happens is that at 6 o'clock in the morning, the loudspeakers come on and it does a Bible reading. Then there's a 30-minute devotional and then some Christian music. So that's from 6 to 7. Then at noon, it comes on again and does a short devotional. 4:30 to 5:30, there's children's programming, dramatized Bible readings and activities, the sort of thing that you would get at a Sunday school. That's 4:30 to 5. Then 5:30 to 6 is music again. And then from 6 to 7, it's Bible reading and some more devotional stuff. And then from 7 to 7:30, there's a program called Women of Hope. All of this is done in the local language. So it's, they can understand it. And for me, when I got there and I thought, oh my goodness, there'd be nothing worse than being woken up at 6 in the morning with Bible readings and music. But they actually love it. It's just a completely different mindset. And as I say, this man here, village chief, was Muslim, but he absolutely loved having the pole there, having the Bible readings happening, and just thought it was amazing. And the smile on his face was just incredible. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Sounds like an amazing project. What's the next step? What's happening next with this?
Okay, so Theo Vision want to, excuse me. So over the next 5 years, it is our aim to put up another 200 of the multi-purpose poles in villages all over Ghana. Theo Vision already have relationships with those villages. They have evangelists that travel there. And so this is how they started. The evangelists would go to a village with a little setup with an amplifier and loudspeakers, and they would play Bible readings and devotionals and things. And so the people are used to it, but this is a way of it happening automatically every day and without the evangelists having to go there to do it. So the aim, let's say, is over the next 5 years is to do another 200 poles, which is roughly one every 2 months, which is a pretty big task.
Great. So that's the sheep stations and the poles. What exactly is a SuperBible then? Another of your projects.
All right. So the SuperBible is quite an amazing thing. There is an American pastor called Art Harris, and if you go and look at a website called Kingstone Comics, you'll find out all about him. But he God gave him this vision of using comics to reach the unreached, and that fits very well with what we as Reach Beyond want to do. And so he had them in a printed form, but he had it also digitally, but he didn't know how to get it out to people. And he met one of our New Zealand staff in place in Thailand called Chiang Mai at a thing called the EMDC. And he met Bob and they started talking, and Bob said, well, I can help you get it onto the internet and digital and create an app. And so that's what we did. So we partnered with them, and we have the worldwide rights to distribute the SuperBible in any other language, any language in the world, except for English and Spanish and French. So and so this is the SuperBible. There's 80 different comics in the series, and it just tells so there's one that's this one here called The Story, that is an overview that goes from Genesis to Revelation, and tells the gospel story very succinctly and well. And then after that, the rest of the comics, the rest of the 79 are comics that might be the life of Abraham or the book of Revelation, or just it tells the Bible from beginning to end. And
how many languages have been covered so far then?
Well, that slide now is actually slightly out of date. We're now up to 42 different languages. It is just growing so fast, and the people, what we're finding and what people are finding all over the world is that people will use the read the comics rather than reading the Bible, because the quality of the artwork is just stunning. So art paid quite a few $1 million to have the people that drew Marvel comics, DC comics, Disney comics. They are the same people that have done the artwork for these, and so it's absolutely amazing.
And where do these things end up? Who uses them?
All right, so on the app, so far we've got over 25,000 downloads all around the world. And interestingly enough, in Russia is where most of the downloads are happening at the moment from the Russian language. So in New Zealand, we have, so when I started today, I greeted you in Te Reo Māori, which is our indigenous language here. And so we've translated this first comic, and we're getting them all done into Te Reo Māori. And it's these comics are being sought after. So they've been put into our prisons, and schools are taking them. Churches are using them a lot to give away if they're having events. Evangelists are using them. So street evangelists will take, we give them to them. So they're being used widely, and we printed 20,000, and they've all gone, and we're right at this minute printing another 20,000, and we're just very, very excited about them.
Well, that's two extremely innovative projects that you've told us about tonight. Can you give us a few pointers for prayer so we can pray intelligently? Yeah, so I think what we've got there about the effectiveness of the polls, and also since I wrote that, one of the things is the manufacturing of the polls. So in Ghana, there's we're having problems with the quality of the manufacture, and so we're looking at maybe getting them manufactured offshore. But there's a timeline with that. So I really, really appreciate prayer around and God doing one of those things that he does, where he brings the right people together at the right time, and those God incidences. So I really, really appreciate prayer for that. Also for the technical side of things, for Bob, with because the sheep stations are remote, can be done remotely, and so we need to make sure that the connectivity is right there. And as I've said there, the batch of pray for the next batch of multi-purpose bowls. And I think not only for prayer, but for praise, it's really, really important to acknowledge what God is doing already, and especially around the SuperBibles and the feedback that we're getting from people about how they're just loving reading it and having that hard copy in their hand, and also from the technical side of it. So it costs us quite a bit of money to keep the servers and everything going, and we really appreciate prayer for finance for that. And like I say, the final one there is the I've got there pray for the distribution, but also praise, because the uptake on them has been far, far greater than what I ever envisaged, and that's exciting. Amazing. Okay, thank you, Russell. If you've got a particular question you'd like to ask Russell about sheep stations, SuperBibles, polls, or anything, you'll get the chance to do that in our question and answer session after we've prayed together on Zoom. Just type your question into the chat box to get that through to me. We've nearly done, but let me tell you what's happening in December. Well, PrayerZone Live goes properly live in December, as we have our Christmas celebration on Zoom and Facebook, but also in person at the Millside Centre in Bradford. It's on Thursday, the 8th of December, and you are very welcome to join us in our building or online. There's going to be festive carols, readings, and we'll hear from some of our mission workers on the field as well. Our good friend Toby Howarth, who's the Bishop of Bradford, he'll be giving a short message, and the whole thing should be around 1 hour in duration. So I really hope you can be with us. As I said last month, the only things you'll miss if you're online are the mince pies and the fellowship afterwards, but never mind. We've got space for over 40 plus people in the Millside Centre, so it's not massive, but we'd love to see you there if you'd like to come along. Send an email to prayerzonelive@reachbeyond.org.uk and RSVP, let us know you'll be coming. If you will be on Zoom, we'll send out the usual reminders by email beforehand, but if you don't normally get those reminders and you want to get hold of the Zoom link, just contact us at the same address and we'll sort you out. That's prayerzonelive@reachbeyond.org.uk. Right then, so we're going to pray for Russell here on Zoom, but to everyone else on YouTube or Facebook, thank you so much for being with us this evening, and goodbye.